One model is being a lean, mean listing machine. It's where all the leverage is, highly profitable. You keep 50+%, live within your means, invest the difference. It'll work, it'll take 20 years. Second model is where you're an agent that is high in production and you try to create a team. The logic is leverage. The problem is that it's not that profitable, because when it all shakes out, when you back out salaries, which are like your agents, what you pay your broker and what you pay for lead gen, you're keeping like 20%. It's like a referral. So it's not the most productive thing to stack time on top of, but a lot of people get lost in that. Yep. It also pulls them out of production, and it causes them to actually lower their production volume because it's taking time. The third thing that percolated to the surface is that one of the guys who's going to speak on stage, he came over here from Long and Foster. His name's Brandon. He has 22 companies within real estate. And what he said from stage, which was fascinating, is that his team is the lowest profitable thing that he does, that causes the most headache. But it leads to all of the other businesses. It's the entry into the transaction, which leads to all the ancillary, right? So he's not twisted about what it is. He's like, I do this to get to this other stuff. But the only way to do that is to get huge. Right. Does that make sense? Yep. Because the margins are getting increasingly smaller. Right. The only way to make that work is if you're gigantic and do like 1,000 units like those people you see on stage, right? The fourth option, which after triangulating what I was thinking about this, I was like, oh, well, what seems to be percolating to the surface as the most leverage option is to be a lean, mean listing machine, but then grow a team as an organization, which is just another version of a team. Yep. But I get rid of the two most expensive things in running a team. I don't need to house them, and I don't need to give them any leads. And the third thing is my time. I don't have to really manage them that much.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
So
it's probably the biggest one too.
Right. So it's the highest leveraged, profitable thing. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Where everybody's trying to do the team in the physical world, but unless they go enormous, it's actually not, and unless they understand that it's a loss leader to get to the ancillary, it's a waste of time.
But what do you think about using the team? So like for somebody in my position now, I look at Jonathan Tsai, I look at Tina Kaw, I look at some of these people that are doing
team plus attraction.
Yeah. But they also have done it at scale. Can it be done on a smaller scale, or do you think it's just a distraction?
I think the only reason to do it is because you're trying to get to ancillary.
Which in my case would just be.
It could be also mortgage, could be title, could be insurance off of the production, could be property management. But you'd have to, the key there is you have to have operational partners. Because I don't personally want, and I don't think you do because you want to be on a farm, I don't want to be involved in the operation of those ancillary services. So it's JVs with title, JVs with mortgage.
Well, I mean more so for attraction than.
I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I'm a perfect example. It's not necessary for attraction. Because of what you know, that's enough. Because I haven't sold real estate in 2 years. But check this out. The organization did 1,000 units. But I didn't sell any. I didn't need to. So I don't think it's necessary. The only reason to do it is because you're trying to get to ancillary, because you really won't make that much money from it when it all shakes out off the team. It might be like 20%, which is like, is it even worth the time? Now, if you want to maintain it, good. But like, I think the reason to maintain it is to get to ancillary. So you can, so think about this, like at the beginning of the race. So here's the beginning of the race, a contract gets signed. At the end of the race, there's a closing. Well, all along this path, a bunch of people get paid. Title, mortgage, escrow, home inspection, property management, lending. So the only reason to really get into the brokerage, like to run a team, is to get to that. Unless you go enormous. Does that make sense? And small brokerages have the same problem. Brokerages that have like 60 agents. Listen,
Small broker.
Here's what I know about them. The broker isn't making any money. And they have to sell real estate if they want to make money. So the only, and what they're dealing with are these massive headwinds. The first headwind is company retained dollar to brokerages has dropped 50% in the last 50 years. So it used to be 50-50 splits. They're keeping now 8 to 10% when you back out all the expenses. First problem. Second problem, we went from 6 to 7 million transactions to 3.8 million. Revenue's down dramatically. Third problem, NAR. Now you have, which causes buy-side revenue to be volatile. So I have a one-on-one client in Pennsylvania. Seller had 16 offers on the property. The offer they accepted, best price, best terms, best commission. Buyer's agent lowered their commission by 1.5 points. So I've talked to Glenn and I've talked to Leo. I did a live interview with him. They both say buy-side revenue, if they had to bet, will go down 20, 30%. So imagine a brokerage, right, who is dealing with all of these headwinds simultaneously. They only have a handful of options. Number one is to sell. It's the worst time to sell. Number two is to merge with other smaller firms to try to get more agents. But the problem is with more agents come more expenses. You're still not going to make any money unless you have ancillary. Third thing to do is raise the fees to agents. You actually commoditize the agents. I've spoken to brokerages where they're telling their agents, if you don't do 10 million in volume, your split's higher. If you don't use our title company and our mortgage company, your split's higher. The fourth option is to get rid of all of the expenses. How do you get rid of all of the expenses? Cloud-based brokerage. It's the only answer. It's EXP or a cloud-based brokerage. It's the only way you get rid of all the expenses. So you can take what you have, put it on a platform. You don't have to do the brokerage component, answer any questions. I don't answer any questions for the 356 agents on documentation or paperwork. There's local brokers to do that. But then what happens is let's say a broker has 60 agents. Over time, that'll turn into 200, 300, 500, 600. Because right now, they're limited geographically with where they can attract. And they're the only one doing the recruiting. Does that make sense? But the only thing that stops them is two: ego and a lack of understanding. They can't see it. It's just traditional. So what they don't realize is they think, oh, you're just an agent. You're agent, I'm broker. What they don't understand is this model makes me them. They're actually competing with me for agents. This looks legit, no?
It's a solid deal.
If there's somebody in the marketplace right now who needs my help, my job is to find it. Once you understand this, I could sell anything. I could sell software and I'd be a rock star at it. I could sell real estate, be a rock star at it.